Thanks so much for listening to No Lions Here with me, Big Panda. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to No Lions Here. My name is Big Panda, and I'm a recovering sex addict. Before we jump into today's show, I just want to give a shout out to the sponsor for the show, Begin Again Institute. If you or anyone you know or love is struggling with sex porn or love addiction, definitely go check them out. Or if you're in the St. Louis area and you want treatment from drugs or alcohol, definitely go check out Illinois Recovery Center. That is Illinois Recovery Center in Swansea, Illinois. Even if you're not from this area and you want to come here, let us know. We can definitely help you out. So definitely go check out. The information is going to be in the description of this episode. And speaking of Illinois Recovery Center, where I work, where I am a certified peer recovery specialist, CPRS, I have with me on today my big boss, the executive director, also brother in recovery.
Yes, sir.
Jakob Miller. What's up, man?
All
Welcome
right.
to No Lions Here.
Thanks. About time you invited me. But, have to start doing some write-ups. But
so it's funny. So they do. You guys do. The Pond Off Anonymous. Right. And it was funny. Like you were like, yeah, we'll have you on our show, and you can come. I was like, yeah, and then you can come on my show, and then neither one of us had asked yet, right. And it was like this awkward dance. And then you guys asked me to come on, and it's like, all right, well, man, hey, I came on yours. Now it's time for you to come on mine.
Yours was a fantastic episode, too. So
yeah, definitely go and check that out. I'll plug it. Pond Off's Anonymous on Spotify, YouTube.
Really everything. Apple.
Yeah.
Same as yours, I think, right?
Yeah, same as everything. Yeah, that was a fun episode, man.
That was good. That was really good.
That was really good.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, yeah, that was good, man. So yeah, man. So Jakob, what's up, man? How you doing?
Didn't really prep how we're going to do this, right?
But that's what I do, though. Like, this is like my style is like, all right, man, let's get into it.
Way.
Like,
Pod Off doesn't let us talk beforehand, so we have to sit there in silence for 10 minutes. Yeah. He shows content. We have to stop talking. So I get it.
And man, I want to thank you again, man, on the air for. We've had some technical difficulties, and I'm no good at this tech side of things, so I'm really grateful that you're here. And I'm really grateful too that I have this space as well. Like, I could totally do this out of my bedroom, but it's really nice to come in here and just
makes it feel better. Yeah, it feels like legit.
It does, and all I got to do is literally just plug in my computer and a camera and go.
Hope Jeff don't kill you for touching anything.
So Jeff, if you're listening, I didn't touch too much. I purposely try not to. So Jakob, man, so obviously, you're the director of Illinois Recovery Center.
Yeah.
Right? Now, obviously, your story goes back a little bit further than that.
Yeah.
You didn't just wake up one morning and say, now I'm the executive director of Illinois Recovery Center.
It almost happened like that. A little different. In my career, though, I've been very blessed, I guess, just like with opportunities arising and kind of taking it, right? I don't know if you even know my career story too much. But
not a whole lot.
So I started working in the field 8 years ago, and I started as a tech. So I got to move this fucking mic. Sorry, edit that out. But I started as a tech, behavioral health tech for a outpatient facility that the one I got clean at. Well, inpatient that did outpatient. So I started working for that company when I got a year clean, and basically I was a glorified piss taker. They had a program the doctor sees people virtually, but everybody that comes in has to do a drug test, and this is a state funded facility, so there's hundreds of clients.
Yeah.
So basically my job was to get piss in a cup, test it, and then sit for the doctor's appointment. That was my first job in the field, which was not the best, but grateful to be there, And kind of from that, I did that, and then just started kind of doing groups, and I had a very good knack for doing the groups. There wasn't really much training at that company, which most treatment centers don't, unfortunately. It's, hey, here's your group, go do it. My experience was on I think it was my second day working. The clinical director asked hey, do you want to go shadow a group with me? The counselor called off, so I got to do it. You want to come watch me do it? I'm like, of course. Yeah, why not? And then we get in there. As soon as we walk in the door, he gets a phone call. He goes, I have a call. I got to take this. You got this. And just walked out. No fucking clue what to do. But then that's just where I kind of just started using my recovery as the topics. I personally do a 12-step program, which I believe is very much cognitive behavioral therapy. So it's really easy to kind of connect the two. Kind of use that as a tool and just started doing groups. And then from there, I just became a group facilitator. I got in Missouri what's called a MADAC 1 credential, which I could do groups with that. Did that, opened up a halfway house at the same time for like, so a lot of people, when it comes to state funded, like if people go to jail for 30, 60, 90 days, they still have a treatment requirement to do. And most treatment centers, you have to go do like an inpatient.
Mhm.
So we try to start this new program. Well, I didn't start it. I just worked for the guy starting it. And it's basically a sober living house that's insanely strict, no cars, no cell phones. You can't really leave the house once you're there, but it's a house you live in. Apartment.
So it's almost like inpatient.
Very
it's like
similar.
An inpatient house.
They wanted to do like inpatient because that's what they're supposed to have, but some more freedoms, like learning life skills, cooking, stuff like that again, paying bills, little things like that. And so sober living was super strict. And they had to do PHP all day, so like 6 hours of programming stuff, but then they came back to the apartment. So I worked that on the weekends, and I worked full time as a tech group facilitator during the week. So I was working like 80 to 100 hours a week. It was fucking a lot. But I did that so I could get my MADAC 2 and then my CADC because I don't have any college. So never did the college. I was on heroin. They don't really do well together. So I just worked a shitload my first like couple years of my career that way. And from that, I got my MADAC 2, then my CADC, and became a counselor. Did counseling for a couple years at the same organization, which was Bridgeway at the time. Now it's Preferred Family, state funded treatment. You know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Saved my life. Did that for a couple years. That's kind of where I started, like, kind of not really making a name for myself, but doing a good job.
Sure.
I worked for a referral only site, which is usually the hardest type of facility to work for because all your clients are like sent to you by the law, or like, so basically it's like DFS, Department of Family Services. People got their kids taken away. Probation, parole, and drug court were my clients. So anybody that like called Bridgeway that wanted treatment because they needed help, they went to another facility.
Gotcha.
I got the referrals only. So that's where I started, like, and like the outpatient I worked for, didn't have the best track record for like keeping employees. That's really the biggest struggle there, is just keeping somebody to do it because the clients are hard.
Yep.
And there's a lot of confrontation in that type of work. You know, you're dealing with a lot of people that seem scary. So a lot of people just like don't really hold them accountable. I'm not that guy. So, you know, I'm called your PO, you miss a fucking group. But I started doing that and I started getting like really good results with the clients. It was going really well. And then I went to a bigger outpatient facility and took on a bigger caseload. And that was like a referral and people calling in that need help. So basically my caseload went from like 30 to 120. Which is normal for outpatient. It's not that crazy for outpatient for state funded. Did that for a while, and then a new treatment center was opening, and they needed peer support coaches, what you are, Alex. And I always liked peer way more than my counseling, because counseling I can't self-disclose.
Yep.
I wasn't allowed to really tell people I'm in recovery. You couldn't use like personal story to help anyone. So when I saw that peer job opening, and it was in the private sector, so private insurance, like kind of what IRC is. So even the peer pay was better than I was making as a counselor. So I was like, okay, more pay. I could do peer work, which I like a lot more. And I took that job, and that was a startup company. So I started there before they opened. So they really they really gave me a platform to kind of just do peer support like I want to do. Because peer support typically is, we don't do it at IRC. We do it kind of the way I like it. But other places, like, you're a tech. Yeah, I'm going to be honest. Like, you drive people is basically what you can do more. Get them to their appointments, maybe to a meeting, which is good. Not dishing that type of peer work, but it's not the peer work I think is that crucial for inpatient treatment, right? Because not taking them to a meeting, we do 7 meetings a week on site, you know? So I started doing, like, well, I asked them, like, I have a counselor credential. I was a counselor. I want to do peer coaching, but in a counselor type of format. I want to be clinical. I don't want to be a tech type of role, operations role. I want to be clinical still. And thank God they said, yeah, we'll see how it goes, right? So basically, the way I stay in my scope when I did that is I just worked on how nots. I never asked the client why. I didn't say, like, why did you relapse? Why do you have the trauma? Why do you self-medicate? Whatever it is. No, I never asked why. I said, how do we not?
Yeah.
Because I can teach somebody as a peer how not to self-sabotage over anxiety, over trauma, over whatever it is, to fill in the blank. But I'm not a therapist, so I don't do the whys. I'm not a counselor, so I'm not a why person anymore. Just how nots, right? Only solution focused. I didn't focus on problems. You tell me your problem once, we get solution right away. And I started doing that, and it worked really well. Yeah. Definitely paired up with like a therapist and counselor. Did that for a while, and then since it was a startup, basically what I did, which I said, this is where I'm blessed by them. I wrote a job description for them, and it was basically, I don't know. I've at that facility, I had about 30 job titles in the course of like 1 year as a running joke with the whole company. But basically, I made a title where like I wanted to handle everything like alumni programming, peer support programming. I wanted to run it more of like a continuum of care, not just like the peer didn't just meet with the client inpatient. I wanted that peer to be long term with our clients. And they greenlit it. So that was nice. I don't want to get too much. There's some like drama that was involved and a lot of like things I didn't appreciate from that company during that time, but that's okay.
Yep.
They just didn't know how much of a psychopath I was when it comes to work. And basically, like, dude, there's too much for you to do as one human. So I told them, well, let me try. I did it. What I believe, I did a review. I got excellent on all my rating for both job positions. But then they cut off the peers from me, and they're like, we want alumni program. So I created a really good alumni program there. Very well. I'm not a woo person though, so that's why like alumni is not. You met like Justin.
Yeah.
Like he's a woo person.
He
like,
is.
He wants to have fun and be energetic. I'm not that, dude. I'm fucking cold. So I did the alumni program. I started it up. We got it going. Got to where we're getting like 100 clients coming back for events. They were already open for a couple of years. They had a lot of alumni. That was going well. Then I finally went back to like, the chief clinical officer is what their name was. That's kind of who ran the program there. I said, I can't do this. Like, give me the peers. Let me do a peer program now. And then she said, yeah. She said, we'll hire somebody that's more energetic. You got the platform, like the program laid out. So we just need a fun person. So they hired a lady to kind of be the planner of events.
Yeah.
And be fun, more welcoming than me, And then she gave me the peer. So I created a peer program there that was very good. It's one of like my proudest moments is that peer program. Me and like the chief clinical officer, we created it together. It's basically a peer would meet with a client at detox, and they would stay on that peer's caseload for 5 years. So after they complete the program, if they did outpatient, after they completed outpatient while they're alumni, they had access to that peer. And I turned that program to like 2 peers to 25 peers. It was across the state of Missouri, from St. Louis all the way up to Kansas City. It was very good. I loved it. But also at that time, that organization was kind of just, they weren't doing anything wrong. So when I say this is a Jakob issue, not that program's issue. It's just doing things I didn't like really. Just the way it was going, I didn't really feel like it was causing me more of a headache and a struggle internally than I was okay with. And just so happened, Eric Conley, our CEO here, me and him would kind of just like, man, if we had a treatment center, we could do
and
it
he
like
worked
this.
there too.
Yeah.
What was he doing?
He was the missions director.
Okay.
So he was like what Angie is here. And we'd always just bounce back and forth of like, I wish we could just do it this way. And they just went like what the company did. They just went to a different type of structure than we had. As directors, we kind of lost power, some control. Like I said, I'm a psychopath. Like I want control, addict in me, right? And I will work night and day constantly. Actually, I gotta check my phone. Speaking of that, we're good. Night and day, like I enjoy it. It's my personal pastime is work. When it's addiction treatment, right? That's where
Yeah.
If it was something else, I would not be the same. I just love what I do, and I'm all in. So me and him would always just kind of have those bitch fests. We'll play Call of Duty together at night. Me and Eric did as well with a group of guys. Like we'd always like, man, if we could do it, dreaming. You know what I mean? And then Eric went out on a surgery. He was out for a long time. Also, you got my COVID hit during all this. There's a lot of. That's why I say it's not just like that company. There's a lot of me stuff going on. Also, around that time, I got cancer. Had a tumor in my throat that was cancerous.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't share that much.
Oh shit, man! I didn't know that.
So I was dealing with a lot of personal shit at the same time.
So a mixed bag.
Yeah, I'm in remission. I'm good there.
Good.
No issues. They chop the shit out, so it's very easy treatment. But so it was just a lot of me stuff too. But Eric called me one day. He's like, "Hey, I think we can open a treatment center. Are you in?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like I'll quit my job today. I'll give a notice. Be responsible. Yeah. But I was just like, no, yeah, I'm all in. Like we originally IRC was going to be an outpatient as well. Not many people know that. Inpatient costs a lot of money. Me and Eric are poor. Luckily, we found a couple people that knew Eric very well, and was willing to invest. So once that happened, like inpatient's reality now.
Yeah,
just go for it. But also during that time, me and Eric, we quit our job at that company. I think he quit before I did. Yeah, he did. He quit a couple of months before I did. He was doing some consulting work and stuff with them. Like we're still very good with that company. They're great. then we started doing basically we did contact center work for about a year, maybe a year and a half. I did it for. In between there and I, me and Eric were joking about this, so that we like black that period out of all of this, because Eric and a couple guys, they started a contact center consulting company. One thing we pride ourselves here is our admissions process. It's fucking quick, it's smooth, it's very good, and it gets people in right away. We were talking about this last night on Pond Offs Anonymous. Like most treatment centers, like it's 24 hours. You make that phone call, they come in, you get in the treatment like the next day. You've worked here. We've done it in 10 minutes.
Yeah,
you know
yes.
Because we're very good. So we work some consulting jobs.
Yeah.
Where was I at?
You were working in a call center, contact center.
Okay. Are we recording
now we're back into it. Yeah. Sorry, he had to take a phone call, so now we're back. So just kind of retracing the steps. You guys said for about that year and a half that you guys were joking that's like the blackout period, because like you can't just decide to make a treatment center, quit your job, and then literally start open the treatment center.
Wish it worked that way.
You got to have something in the middle.
So
there.
we kind of worked there. We took it enough money to pay the bills only.
Yeah.
It was very much like eating ramen noodles every night if you had it, some bread. But just a year and a half, and then we landed finally. We were looking for a facility, trying to get location, kind of getting not rejected, but not being able to land somewhere.
Were you guys always planning on obviously the St. Louis area?
Yeah,
but
we wanted Illinois, we wanted around Fairview Heights, Belleville, Swansea area, Casey. Like we were looking right
because Eric's from
Casey. Yeah, Eric's from Fairview Heights.
Yep.
And there's nothing in this area.
No.
There's absolutely nothing. There's some like state funded facilities, which, like I said, saved my life. But private treatment, there's a bunch up by Chicago, but down here, nothing. So we really wanted this area. And we're looking pretty hard. And we looked at a couple of facilities that would have needed major remodeling. Like I mentioned, we're poor. Like we had some investors, but like it ain't millions of dollars investors, It was just enough to kind of get us going. So thank God we finally found the facility we're at now, which is perfect. That's where like one of our biggest higher power moments in the whole like finding a place was getting this facility, because when we were looking, we were going to buy like an old KC Hall at one point, a couple of locations like that. Then places that are way out of our price range, and then our realtor called Eric or Brian, one of the two. Brian's one of the other owners, and it's like, hey, there's this guy. He has this property. It's not on the market. No idea if he wants to sell it. No idea if he wants to rent it out, lease it. Nothing. But maybe he'll talk to you guys. So Eric and I think Brian. I'm not sure anybody else, but I know Eric and Brian for sure went out and like met the owner of this property and just kind of told him a story. Kind of said, "This is what we want to do with this. What we're looking at." And the guy said, "Yeah." So
that's cool.
A lot more to that too, but I wasn't there. But
yeah,
able to land the property. Me, Eric, and Paul. I don't know. Were you here when Paul was here?
Yep,
Paul.
Yep.
Us three, Brian, Jen, Eric's sister, came in and renovated the whole place. So we did all the renovation ourselves. Still working at the contact center during that time. Peyton, while you're on the phone, doing kind of what I just did. Did all the renovations. Kind of just created the program from that point. And then opened up, and it was fucking. You've been here for most of it, right?
Yeah. I came in January of 2024. Oh, yeah. January 2024 is when I started
as an intern.
Intern. Started July of 2024 full time.
Okay, so because we opened in June of 20, I guess, right? So
yep.
Not that much longer.
No, not that much.
Young.
And honestly, man, like that's what I like. One of the things that I really like about working here is like you feel like you're on the ground floor,
right,
of something, and like things are changing and things are constantly kind of. And I don't know if that's just part of the industry, but also two of us just being so new. But I like that we have that that flexibility to kind of ebb and flow.
Yeah, it's part of the industry. Like everywhere I've ever worked, there's a lot of change that happens, but it also comes with being new, because obviously the models that we start out with needs to evolve when we evolve, needs to grow when we grow, and then just some things don't work, some things work really well, and you want to make it better, right?
Yeah.
And then also don't bring them into like ASAM criteria. That's another big change that happened. Like not that long ago, ASAM completely changed.
Now, what is ASAM?
I should know what it stands for. something, but it's basically like the code and rules we have to follow for our care.
Yeah.
You know, as our requirements, it has to have this many clinical hours, this many groups, this many people per caseload, like no more than that. This many, like, just the rules that you have to follow. And then it's also would be like what the client, what they're struggling with, what level of care they should be in.
Gotcha.
As well. If they're dealing with these type of issues, it should be detox.
Yeah.
This type of issues, it should be residential, IOP, and so forth. So it kind of just dictates like what care you're giving.
Yeah.
You know, and it always had one model, and then about the beginning of this year, it was a complete change. Like ASAM always has updated, maybe new requirements here and there, but this was legit a whole new ASAM basically. So it caused a lot of big changes there.
Yeah, I remember when that came into effect earlier this year, and we were all kind of like, "What? What the?" What?
So that was new.
It was totally ASAM.
But Open Up IRC has been amazing. Definitely, like I always tell the client, like our staff here is the fucking best.
Yeah,
Alex is one of them. We couldn't have. Like, it would not be IRC without like the staff here. Just they care. I've never seen. I sent a message on Teams the other night just because like we had a new client came in that was like insanely rushed. Right, it was one of those quick admissions. They call us. They're like, "Hey, I'm driving to your facility." We're like, "Well, hold on. There's a process. Let's knock it out as fast as we can so we can get you in." He was in like 25 minutes, 30 minutes later. Typically, what like I don't want to say what other treatment centers do, but like I'll talk about us. I see like 5 messages from all the techs working. Saying like, "Oh fuck yeah, we're gonna get this guy the best welcoming ever." Like, yeah, I got him going. We're all gonna introduce ourselves to make sure he knows like if he needs help. The guy's never been to treatment before. He was scared. He was just basically, if I don't come in now, I don't think I will. So you got to capture that willingness right there.
100%.
And just seeing like the team just rally around, like let's make sure this guy's good and happy, you know, which is, in my opinion, like I've never had that happen to me going into treatment.
Hey guys, I just want to take a minute to share something deeply personal and transformative in my journey of recovery. I've been where you might be right now, struggling with the weight of addiction and feeling lost. But there's a place that offered me a new beginning, a place I truly believe in. It's called Begin Again Institute. At Begin Again, they understand the deep-rooted trauma behind addiction. Their 14-day intensive program for men tackles the neurobiological aspects of addiction head-on. It's not just about breaking a habit. It's about understanding and healing the underlying trauma that formed it in the first place. And for those who have been impacted by betrayal, Begin Again extends care to partners of addicts too. Their partner support program is offered at no additional cost to the family and runs alongside the men's intensive. This program helps participants gain an understanding of the trauma they've experienced and sets them on their own path to healing. If you or someone you love are grappling with sexual addiction, pornography addiction, or intimacy issues, Begin Again Institute can be that pivotal step towards recovery and a new lease on life. Remember, you can't go back and change the past, but it's never too late to begin again. To learn more about their life-changing program, visit beginagaininstitute.com or call 720-776-9076 to reserve your spot in the next 2-week intensive. I promise, it'll be the best call that you ever make for yourself. Stay strong, keep fighting, and keep tuning in to No Lions Here for more conversations about recovery, resilience, and hope.
You really see it at other places. Like, that's the team we have, you know, from the bottom all the way up. Like, it's just everybody wants to be there for the client no matter what. And the clients feel it. Like, I've never seen a client ever here say like the staff is bad.
No,
they might say they don't like. I don't let them have cell phones, you know, or
like the policies. You know, they can disagree with that. They can disagree, but
never disagree with the staff.
That is like the shout outs that we get is like shout out to the staff.
And that's one thing we really wanted it to be, the staff to be designed around recovery. Obviously, I am a firm believer that one addict helping another is like the way to go.
That's tried and true, right? All the way back to
the best, knocks down barriers right away. And all of our staff, because about 85% of the staff is in recovery. I don't know if that number is still accurate. I feel like it might be higher than that, honestly. But all the staff here has been affected by addiction. There's not a single staff member we have that's not like had it directly affect them, right? So every single person here wants to care and help the addict. It's like a passion for them. It's a purpose they have is to help people in recovery, and that's just what just makes it so great. And plus the food Sarah cooks.
Today it was chicken strips and fries.
Yeah, waiting for me over there. But yeah, that's kind of just like my career path. It was I just worked constantly and kind of just built it up through working and opportunities and taking them. I got very blessed there that I was working for companies that allowed me to kind of have some freedom, because like even at the state funded facility I worked at, so I worked in an outpatient IOP program when I became a counselor. I was the only staff in that building. There was no techs, there's no front desk worker. There was literally just me. So I had a lot of what's the word? I was able to just kind of self-govern myself, right? Kind of just do what I thought is best. I had my clinical director. He was far away, but I could call and bounce ideas off of him. One thing I've always, which I tell a lot of peers to do, one thing I did every place I worked, every time I went to another facility or location, I would find a therapist there and I would attach myself to his hip or her hip. Like they would be like, I'm going to bounce all my clinical ideas off of you. I'm going to ask you if this works, don't work, opinions. If they were asking me if they wanted to share their insight, I always did that. That's how me and Kevin Button became very close. I attached myself to that guy. At Sonic Lake, he was a family therapist there. And as soon as he came in, I'm like, every time I had any idea, right? Because I'm not educated. I don't have schooling to be a counselor or nothing. So I'd basically say, hey, I'd run out. He goes, oh yeah, that's this therapeutic approach. That's read this article or look up this guy. He talks a lot about that type of model or whatever it is. And that's just kind of how I did it. And then that's when he got me really involved in family programming. Me and him created a really good family program in the past together. We create the one we have here. We kind of just same principle. We kind of just evolved it. Because that's one thing, at least from in my personal recovery, that I held, no longer made amends, but held was just how I treated my family. Because I come from a very close family. Like my mom, I have my stepdad, which is very close with him as well, but I have 3 brothers. And we've always been the type of family to get together once a week. We're very close. I was abstinent for some years, but heroin. But we're very close, and just the shit I put them through. Yeah. So understanding and kind of talking to them about what I put them through, owning it, making my amends. I really wanted to help other families do that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So you started on this career path 8 years ago, right? Mm-hmm. So now how long were you in recovery before you were like, I want to get into this? Because you see this a lot. Yeah. So a lot of people that come through are like, man, I could really see myself in your position, Alex.
Right.
How long were you in recovery?
So one, I was not that guy in treatment. That's where the weird side of all this came from. I had no plan when I got clean to work in treatment. It was not a goal. It was never a thought in my head that I could even do, really. My whole life before, I did landscaping. So that was my career, was landscaping up to getting clean. And when I got clean, I got a job in a restaurant as a dishwasher, making minimum wage, and I went to Bridgeway, and they told me when I graduated, their outpatient, hey, if you get a year clean, call us. We don't get calls like that. It's really nice. So they tell other people they don't have an alumni program. We're not engaged afterwards. If you get a year clean, give us a call. It'd be cool to hear. So when I had my year clean, I think it was the day of my 1 year, I called my counselor from Bridgeway. Her name was Hope. She was amazing. And I told her, hey, it's Jacob Miller. She's like, oh yeah, of course. I'm like, how's it going? I got a year clean. One of the calls, I'm doing it, we kind of just got to talk about my life. And she asked me well, what area of your life do you hate the most? I said, my fucking job. I work in a restaurant. At that time, I was a cook at the restaurant. I was no longer a dishwasher, but I hated it.
Worked your way up.
Yeah. I was crazy. But I hated working in a restaurant. Yeah. A lot of people love it. I'm not downing that side of work. Just for me, it's fucking, you work 13-hour days nonstop. You maybe get a 30-second break to fucking two puff a cigarette, and I don't like my job. That's really about it. I'm I'm content with it. I'm happy to have a job. It pays my bills. She's like, well, we're hiring for techs. You should put your application in. And it paid $1 more, actually 50 cents more, I think, than I was making as a cook. And I was just like, well, yeah. Or it might have been the same pay. I don't know. The pay was about the same. It wasn't a loss. I know that. And she goes, put your application in and we'll give you an interview. You should do it. So I did it. The guy called me out. I put my application right there. It's online. I think I was at the restaurant on break. From my application, the clinical director called me like an hour later, went to an interview the next day, and then started as a tech. But as soon as, like I said, like as soon as I did that first group, that's when I'm like, I like this.
Yeah.
Like this is good. I can like come to work and be myself and just like just watching people recover is the greatest feeling in the world. It is. You know? And that's where I just fell in love with it. And I was hooked. Because as soon as like after that, like I said, I worked 100 hours a week. I still work, but 100 hours a week, you know, my fucking fiance hates it because I always work, but it's like it's what I want to do. They're like Molly and Laurel, that's Eric's wife, Molly. Like they give me and Eric shit about it. Like, God, all you guys do is talk about work. That's what we want to talk about. That's what we want to. We talk about a couple other things, you know, our hobbies, but our hobbies are working. Like I don't want to say working because it sounds weird. Our hobbies is recovery. Yeah, like that's what we love. That's what our passion's about. That's what we enjoy more than anything else in this world. It's just treatment and recovery. Yeah. And I really want to find ways to connect because I know when I went to treatment, it was 8 years ago, a little over 8 years, but I remember they said something to me in the treatment. So like treatment is not recovery. They're separate. And so that's where when I created my peer program, like I wanted to figure out how do I combine treatment and recovery as best I can. And I really believe treatment should be a model that enhances recovery. Yeah. Like I don't believe treatment should be recovery. I agree with that because recovery is long term, it's lifetime, right? Treatment, you shouldn't not be in treatment for a lifetime. And I told the clients yesterday, like our goal here is to make sure you don't need us anymore. And the only way for a treatment center not a client not to need a treatment center if we enhance the recovery as much as possible. So that's why peer supports I love so much. Is like they do that.
Well, I know that like when I was in treatment, right, and like we were towards the end and they started telling us like all the things that we needed to do for our recovery when we got out. And they're like, you know, you need to get a therapist, you know, meetings, sponsor, you know, this. And like, and they said it the best. They're like, this is a running start. This is not a fix-all. This is not a red pill, blue pill. This is a running start into your recovery. And that's what I tell the clients here. It's like, guys, the real journey begins when you leave here. Oh, yeah. Right? This is part of it. You're here. You know, you're safe. This is a bubble. Look at the things you need to look at. But just know that, like, when you get out of here, that's when the real journey begins. Right.
Exactly what I tell the clients. I said, our goal for inpatient is to get you 2 steps ahead. Yep. That's best we can do. 2 steps ahead. It's their job to make sure they stay 2 steps ahead.
Yep. Like, let us help you connect the dots. Because, like, I love when and I'm sure you can relate to this. I love when I'm running group. And even if it's just one person, you can see the light bulb go off. And they're like, you say something, and I'll be honest, maybe I don't even remember what I said to them because I'm just up there rambling at that point in time. But you see that light bulb go off in them, and then you're like, all right, like that right there is where it's all worth it.
And that's the beautiful side of it. Yeah. Right? And it's always crazy, like what you say too. Yeah. It's like the most like cliche saying in the world, or just like a one-off thing you said one time ever. Yeah. And it just clicks to them and it connects with them, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Like this is the running start. Like we're going to give you guys the tools that you need, whether you go 12-step or not. Like obviously like we're 12-step heavy because it's 12-step has helped many of us that work here.
Right. Yeah.
But if you don't decide to go that route, okay. But at least now you have some knowledge around it.
Yeah, my thought when it comes to like recovery, because I am one of my hobbies is studying recovery programs. You know, like that's what I've built a couple like peer support programs designed around enhancing somebody's recovery program. I believe, which it sounds weird, most people I don't think say this way. I think they might agree with me. It's just don't say it. I believe any recovery program will work for anyone as long as you work that program. Like not every program is going to fit your personality or like your personal beliefs, but if you fully gave into it, it would work for you. Yeah, it's just a lot harder when you don't like you personally don't like mesh with it. But so I started studying loads and loads of recovery programs, from like abstinence based, like smart recovery, to refuge, like mindfulness type of impact. I've studied like Satanist programs. There's programs, millions of them out there, and that's where I'm like, I don't really. You can do whatever path, but like in St. Louis area where we're at, there's 15,000, 20,000 a week.
12-step-based programs. There's so many. There's 3 clubhouse. There's multiple clubhouses in the
all
city,
day long,
like, all day long,
and there's mold all over the place. Smart recovery. There's 3 a week. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, well, I believe recovery is a daily thing. So we're going to be heavier 12-step because that's what there's more of. Yeah. Right. if smart recoveries, there's 20,000 of them out there a week, we would be very heavy smart recovery because we want people to connect to something that's going to be daily.
100%.
Always
And we
find a
know
meeting
that there's
to.
resources as soon as
Yeah.
they leave here. And what I love about like what we do is like the personalities, like, so you got me, Scott, Ricky,
Oh yeah,
and we all bring a different perspective, right? Like
Right.
Scott's real big on the fellowship of the 12 step. Ricky's really big on the steps. I'm really big about like the feelings and like,
mm-hmm.
and it's so interesting because you're getting a little bit of
Everything.
each from everybody,
Yeah.
right? It's not just 12 step. It's not just
No, and we don't really like, because we don't have like 12-step groups here.
Yeah.
We have like our evening meetings,
Mhm.
right? But those are not our program.
Yeah.
Those are outside meetings that come in to support clients.
Mhm.
But when you look at recovery programs, like I said earlier, like I believe 12-step programs is like the granddaddy of cognitive behavioral therapy.
Mhm.
You know, so like you can teach therapy to cognitive behavioral therapy in a group and connect it to a 12-step program.
Yeah.
Or like smart recovery is REBT, I think, therapy. Don't ask me what exactly that means. Rational something. Somebody out there is like, well, that's fucking wrong. So you can connect it, and then if somebody kind of grabs, starts leaning towards a certain type of like therapy approaches or group where you're teaching, now you can connect them to a recovery program.
Yeah.
But I'm a firm, like a meeting's a meeting, go to a meeting. I am a firm believer, like have one program that you follow. One thing that's different, that I've worked at other places that disagree with this statement, but like I don't believe a client should create their program. Let's not have the sick heal the sick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nothing against a client. Like that's not a stab at them, but your early recovery, we don't know what we're doing, and we need good early direction to get there. So that's what my firm believer, like find a program. If you're 100% unwilling to work a program, you should sit down with a peer, and I call them standards. Create standards for your recovery. We have to have them, because I know if I create my own standards, they're going to be fucking very low, or they're going to be so high they're unachievable. Yeah. We really want to approach like any recovery program, but you got to have something.
Got to have something. Got to do something, right? If you don't change, if nothing changes, nothing changes.
Right. And if you could do it on your own, you wouldn't have.
We wouldn't be here.
You know what I mean?
Right?
So you gotta have the humility to get the help.
And clearly you're here, so you clearly can't do it on your own. Because I mean, how many people tried to do it? I tried to do it on my own
a million times. Right?
Tried to do it on my own. I remember like one of the very first times that like I like was like I got a problem and I need to. I used this saying from, it was a Lil Wayne lyric, like real G's move in silence like lasagna. So I was like, I told a buddy, right? I'm not going to talk about that. I'm not going to talk about what I'm doing. I'm not going to talk about it at all.
Right.
I'm just going to do it, right? On my own, do it. I'm a guy. I got this. And then I remember I relapsed like a week later, and I called him just to like, I didn't know I was just like, hey man, I relapsed. And he was like, dude, you don't have to call me when you don't have to tell me these things. And I was like, oh, okay. All right.
that works. Yeah.
Yes. Like if I tried to do that in my program today, dude, I'd be in a world of hurt.
Yeah, you got to tell yourself on everything.
That's
like, I talked about this last night. Like the 3 things I believe that you have to have for recovery, because I don't like, because we did a frequently asked question episode last night. People sent questions in, and one of them was, do you have to like believe in God to have recovery? And I'm like, I'm religious more now. I believe in God, but I'm not religious. I don't follow religion. God is not my higher power. And when I said like earlier, when I studied recovery programs, one of my main, when I was looking through them all, the one things I wanted to find in them all, what programs proven long-term recovery. So anything over 5 years was my marker. So I would basically get on Facebook and I would search these recovery programs. Every recovery program has a Facebook group.
Yep.
I would join these groups and I start talking to the individuals in the program to find people that had 5 years of clean time. Right. And once I found programs that did from people working the program, I'm like, okay, this one's legit. Let's put it in my folder to study it, research, take stuff away from it. But the thing I found with every program that had people that had 5 years of sobriety had 3 things in common. It was they believed in honesty, so telling people when you fuck up or when you're doing good, both of them, right? But they believed in honesty, sharing with like-minded people, so they believed in like fellowshipping or having groups of other addicts with addicts. And then the third was abstinence-based. Everyone that had those 3, people had long-term recovery. So when we talk about what do you need in recovery, it has to have those 3. Like those are my staples. Like it has to. Higher power, not in one of them. You know, God, not one of them. 12 steps, not one of them. Therapy's not even one of them.
Yeah.
Recommend all of those things. But like those are the 3 things that I feel like you must have if you want to claim recovery. I am like very recovery strict.
Yeah.
So like I believe like when you work a program, you got to work it to completely or you can't claim the program. I believe if you don't call your sponsor, you don't have a sponsor, you know. like those type of things, which I probably should call my sponsor. I talked to him yesterday a little bit.
Jacob's
but
not working a program. I'm just kidding.
I need to go look some more.
No,
meetings,
like
but.
that, like, dude, like that's the beauty of recovery, though. Is like it's not because you know how we are addict minded, right? Like you tell me something, you tell me I have to do something, and you tell me I have to do it your way. Fuck no, I'm not doing that. Like the beauty of recovery is, and I tell this to them all the time, like you guys get to figure out what works for you.
Right.
What works for you and work that.
And the beautiful side, like me and Kevin Button were talking about this just the other day, which Kevin Button's our family therapist. I don't know if I said that earlier, but he's in 12 step. I break his anonymity, but me and we're talking about like, even with people that do the same program, they do it differently.
100%.
And that's one thing that people don't, I feel like the biggest like misconception of a 12-step program is where people are like, well, it's not cookie cutter. You can't just, everybody can't be the same. Well, like the way I did my 12 steps is different than the guy next to me and the way he did his 12 steps. Because my 12 steps they're catered to you. It's a personal journey through the 12 steps. So like what I struggled with is what my steps focused on. And that's one thing I think a lot of people don't understand about 12-step programs. Like the steps wordings are all the same, but how you work it is going to be completely different than the person next to you.
And who you work it with.
Right, yeah. But in your sponsor's
your
guidance.
sponsor style. Like some guys are like, I need somebody who's strict and a hard ass.
Yeah, or very lenient and like or cuddly or feeling wheels or something. But like what you get is like, so every program's different, even though it's like the same model. It's different, you know? Clients that come through here, each one of their treatments different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though they're going through the exact same model as everybody else. I got another phone call.
Take it. I'll mute this. Step it out. We'll give this time to plug the Begin Again Institute. Yeah, we'll plug Begin Again Institute here. We're back. This man, we're recording in the middle of the day, so I have to be okay with him stepping out to make phone calls.
I've been doing pretty good.
You have been doing good, man.
Angie to hold down internal for me.
Yeah, no, and again, like I really do appreciate this, like you just coming on, and it's interesting to hear about how the treatment center was started up and everything like that. Like
we just really wanted to do it right. You know what I mean? That's like I tell the clients you're in orientation when I give my little spiel, but we just really want to. I don't like revolving door models. I really wish relapses happen. We can't avoid. We get returned clients here. It's going to happen. It kills me. I just want for people to know it's two things that like just really stab a dagger in me. Like I take home with me. I guess you could say that I haven't learned I can listen to people's trauma all day. I can be trauma dumped on. I have people fucking just cuss me out. I'll never take any of that home. When people AMA treatment, because the disease wins. I don't like the disease beating me. I'm too cocky for it, I guess. It does way more than I want to admit. And then when people relapse, like those two things I take home. I don't like it. I wish I could find the magic pill to stop it, right? But it hasn't yet. But those two things is what I like take very personal to me. That's why almost every AMA that happens here, I have to talk to them.
Yeah.
Well, if I don't talk to him, I feel like a piece of shit in my own head. That's a me thing, too. So it's not a stab at somebody that doesn't talk to him. Alex, you talk to him all the time. So
I do.
Yes. Stab at you.
I know.
But like, I just feel like I have to try. Like, because when I think of a disease of addiction, like it's literally life and death.
Yeah,
like, that's
100%.
No matter what kind of addict they are, it could be a binge drink, a beer only drink, whatever. It's life and death. Like 100%. That's just what it is. And if I don't feel like I gave it my all, not if I win or lose, because like I'll have people at AMA where I'm like, I did everything I could. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I did what I could. I'm gonna pray for them, but I did what I could. But it's when those moments like if I'm like doing paperwork if somebody's AMAing and like I just missed the message, and I don't talk to those are the ones I take. I'm like, I didn't even try.
Yeah,
I didn't even try to save the guy. Because who was I talking to? I don't remember. I said like that's like the worst experience. AMA blocking somebody and you can just watch that internal fight happening inside of them. You just watch them going back and forth and they still choose to leave. You're going to lose your kids. You're going to lose your husband, wife. You have nowhere to go. You're literally walking out of here and you still make that when people say the addiction is a disease, that's how you know it is.
Yeah.
Right.
I know that like I had a really tough time at the beginning of like, because that's part of my job, right? Is like, hey, someone's thinking about leaving. Hey, someone from clinical, one of the peers, go talk to them.
Right.
Right. And then, you talk to these people. And this is something that I had to like work on was like, I'm not going to save everybody, or like feeling like a failure. Feeling like a failure, not only internally, but also towards my employer, of saying, hey, man, I talked to him and I couldn't get him to stay. I talked to him for an hour and they still decided to leave. I feel like I internalized that as I failed that conversation. I should have done this. Or the other one where like, and I notice now we have kind of this like wear down method. I always tell clients like, hey, if you want to leave, that's fine. You're going to have a conversation with 10 of us.
Right.
And it's like that wear down. So like I'll spend 45 minutes with, because this has happened. I've spent 45 minutes with somebody and then they go outside. They're still planning on leaving. Well, and then Scott goes and talks to him.
Right.
Scott talks to him for 5-10 minutes and he's like, oh, next thing you know, oh, hey, they're going to stay.
Right.
And it's like, well, what the like,
yeah,
but just realizing that that's kind of how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why there's two things I've learned in AMA blocking you don't want to do. You don't want to crowd them.
Yeah.
You don't want 4 or 5 people at once talking to that individual, because then they're backed in a corner. And you want to also give them some type of like break.
Yep.
Right. So it's not that like Scott's better than you. Well, he might be, but you're welcome, Scott. That's a more compliment. Usually have Scott's when I get some blood on my shit. It's like you try, then you give them that 10 minutes. Now they're thinking about what you said. That internal battle's still happening, but now they got your voice in their head too. So then the other person comes along and just co-signs your voice. Then they're like, fuck it, yeah, I'm going to stay.
Yeah.
Where I've seen, like, I worked at treatment centers where their objective was like, put them in a room, 5 people in there, their whole treatment team, all at once, talk to them. Well, fuck, if that was me, like, you cornered me. Now I'm embarrassed. There's 5 of you looking at me, talking to me. I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Yeah, that whole, back to that idea of like, you're telling me what to do.
I still say the best AMA block I ever had was me, Kevin Button talked to this guy for like 2 hours, right? Trying to get him to stay. Guy absolutely would not stay, right? So he's outside with his cell phone calling a ride. This was years ago. I walk out to the guy, I go, give me your fucking phone, go back to the fucking group. He handed me his phone and went to the group. That's like what you're saying, though, you know?
Yeah.
Like, he was outside, probably going all through the shit Kevin said. He just needed one kick real quick.
Yeah.
Then just kick him out of it.
Yeah.
That was like the best AMA I ever had.
And it's also too like knowing the client and knowing what they respond to. Do they respond to the gentle approach, or do they respond to, hey, give me your fucking phone,
right?
Get the fuck back in the group. And
then the best technique too I found for it is, before you have a conversation with them, before you start engaging to why they want to leave, you just tell them like, well, hold on, we're gonna breathe. We're gonna do some box breathing. We're gonna do like 5 or 6 rotations of it, just real quick. Humor me, we're just gonna do it. Do that with them, and then you'll have way better results.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. You get them kind of kicked out of that fight or flight mode, because when somebody's AMA, when you look at like the neuroscience of it and stuff like that, they're in like the reptilian part of their brain. They're in fight or flight mode. They're breathing all crazy, like in their mind. It is. That's just HR. She can wait. Like, they're breathing, like you gotta, in like one of the best techniques to kick somebody out of fight or flight mode is breathing exercise. So have them do some breathing, then you do that for like 5 or 6 rotations. Like, okay, now we'll talk about it.
Yeah,
that's where you'll start getting like it doesn't work. It ain't like a miracle switch to make them stop, but that's when I actually can start having real conversation. They start being rational about it, and that. And I try to always get them to admit what they're actually doing. Like, in their head, it might not be like, I'm gonna leave and get high, because the disease don't work that way.
Yeah.
If the disease was like, give them cravings, make them want to go get high, that's why they'll leave. A lot of times they'll stay if that's the case. Mm-hmm. Like, you'll see all the time clients like, I really want to get high. They tell somebody, they talk about it, they stay. Right? Yeah. They do really well. Mm-hmm. It's when like, well, I gotta get back to work.
Yeah.
Right? My wife needs me. Like, well, your wife's on speakerphone saying she don't want you home.
Yeah.
Bills are fine. Everything is good. Actually, the last 20 days of the first 20 days, she got real sleep. She's doing wonderful right now, knowing you're getting help, and you're still saying, nope, I got to go. That's when it's that hard ones. The disease is really kicking their ass, and it's using like good intentions, because in their head, they're like, well, I got to go make money and pay bills. It's good, right? How do you tell somebody, no, you should not be with your kids?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So like good intentions, but it's just wrong. It's going to be damaging for them.
Yeah. It was fun. We had a guy, this was last week, or maybe it was the week before. I don't know. They were in group, and I was in the hallway talking to a tech, and he walked past, and he left group and was walking. He walked in between us and said, I'm out of here. I'm leaving. And he walked out the doors, and he went outside, and the tech's like, should we go? And I was like, let's give him a couple minutes.
Right.
Let's not chase him out. I'll give him a couple minutes. We'll wrap up this conversation. Then I'll go talk to him. Sure enough, wrapped up the conversation, gave him a few minutes to go sit outside by himself, calm down. And then I went out and talked to him.
Right.
And he was like, dude, I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, man. All right. You're feeling a certain type of way. Let's talk about
You
it.
want to know the fucked up part of what happened there probably too?
What?
Probably smoked a cigarette.
Yeah.
Smoked, breathing.
Uh-huh.
You don't sporadically smoke, just taking long breaths on it.
Yep.
It's where it's like, you don't say smoking's good, but smoking, it does help you breathe.
You heard that here, ladies and gentlemen.
It gives you breathing, slows your rhythm,
yeah,
calms you down. Like that's what
you're holding it in, you're inhaling, you're holding it in.
You want to give them a
Damn,
break,
like that. Smoking,
right? Yeah,
no, I'm just kidding.
But like that's like you want to give them that break.
Yeah,
like it ain't like you don't drop everything on AMA. You want to make sure they're not like walking off property because we fucking have it before too. People just dip out, but like you want to give them a moment, collect themselves, right?
Yeah.
Then go talk to them and hit them with stuff. Because you get them right in that moment, they're in fight or flight. Now they 100%. Feel cornered. It digs them in deeper. 100%. But like I said, like those are really the ones that like how you're saying like you feel like a failure or whatever. Like those internal monologue. Like I still have that. Like that's the shit. Like because like I can let you know as an employer when I hear Alex talked to me still wants to leave. Like okay, happy Alex tried. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We put effort in. That's all we can. All we can ask for is effort, right?
Yeah.
We can't control other people. Control ourselves. We talk. We did our part. But like I'm just saying, like that's one of those things I still cannot get over. Wish I could figure it out. That and the relapses, because like you just want to fucking strangle people, man. It's like that's why I tell people like in the orientation, like I'm a firm believer. Like don't get mad at me if you're another treatment center, but when treatment centers have statistics out there, like we have the success rate, it's bullshit. Because one, if you know anything about data gathering, which I like, I'm a data guy, you have to have 100% of your market to get accurate data.
Yeah.
There ain't no treatment center that's 100% connection with every client that goes through it. It just don't work that way. We have really great connections and engagement after treatment here with our alumni program that we have. We don't have near 100%.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you don't have it. It's just not real. But I'm a firm believer, like if you do everything told to you 100% when you leave here, you take all the suggestions, you go to 90-90, you get your response, like you will not relapse.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer in NA's one promise. Were you the one giving me shit about that on our podcast?
Yeah, I think so.
NA has one promise to their program. Everybody that is willing to do their program will succeed.
Yeah.
It's not what it says. It's something very more elegant probably than that, but that's their promise. Like if you change your life and you work this way, you will be successful in your recovery. And I'm a firm believer in that. I'm a firm believer that there's no addict out there that cannot find recovery. I don't believe there's any addict that needs to die from this disease. So every person that dies from this disease is a battle loss that could have won. So I internalize that. Like I do it healthily now. I'm not going home beating myself up. I'm like, what can I do better? That's where that obsession kicks in, though. Over I say I work constantly and looking up these programs, recovery programs, the newest models and stuff like that. Like, because I want to win. I want this war on addiction. It's a war we win.
Yeah.
The war on drugs doesn't work. So let's do a war on addiction, right?
Yeah.
So let's figure out how we can make treatment the best, give people the best results, and give people recovery, right?
Yeah. Would you say that like age plays into any of this when you're coming into treatment?
Yeah, it's going to be a factor. It goes both ways. Like some people might think older the client is, the better they'll be willing to know. They're worse.
They're a little bit more set in their ways.
When they're young too, they might be more against authority or whatever it is, or rebellious. But I can see the factor I find, like this is, I tell clients this too, what I see halter people's recovery or enhances recovery is how smart they think they are. And it goes the opposite way. A lot of people, the smarter you think you are, harder recovery is.
Yeah.
Like that's just how it is, right? I have a good buddy, Dylan, like he was a peer support for a while. He's actually a probation officer now. Shot up heroin with the guy from active addiction, right? He changed. He is actually a couple months longer clean than I do, doing fantastic. But when he was a peer, he was always tell people, it's like you cannot be too dumb for recovery, but you can think you're too smart. And that's where like you get really fucked over. Is those people that think they know it all. Like that's the one I see that like hinders, and that goes with old and young.
Yeah,
right. So it's not really the age. It's like when they think they know what to do. Like the first thing that I feel like blessed me in my recovery was accepting that I don't know shit. Like I really look at recovery too as like my age is how long I have clean. So I'm 8 years old. I'm a fucking child when it comes to recovery. It's the fact. And when I had 30 days, like I'm a fucking infant. And I had to accept, because I went to my first time in recovery, I went to Smart Recovery, but I also did a program that was like 80 days Smart Recovery. So like that was like the recovery program. They taught me like 3 hours of your day was Smart Recovery. So you did one for 3 hours every day, you did one page in that book, and you just went through it constantly. So I knew it very fucking well. I was very knowledgeable when it came to Smart Recovery. So I go to these meetings and I think I was some hot shot, because every time we did something, I knew so much about it, knew what to do. And I fucking used 100 days later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just thought I was too smart. You got to humble yourself when it comes to it.
You absolutely no. You absolutely do. Like, you got to humble yourself. There's acceptance there, man. And then you pair that with, like, again, you see this too, like, desperation. Are you desperate?
Right.
Do you have enough consequences to push you over the line and say, I have to change my ways?
Exactly.
Have to change my
it's
ways.
Like gift of desperation.
Gift of desperation, man. 100%.
That's where like the rock bottom, comes in. That's one thing that we teach here pretty often. Like, I'm a firm believer in a rock bottom. I don't think a rock bottom is physical. I think it's very much emotional.
Yeah.
And that's the emotional state of defeat.
And also, I think that rock bottoms can change.
Oh yeah. Like,
right?
They always got a seller. They can be, my rock bottom is always going to be different than somebody else's, but I think that our rock bottoms are the same when it comes to the emotional state. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Like, basically despair and isolation. Yeah. Really the two emotions, I have yet to meet an addict seeking a recovery that did not have despair and isolation. Well, if you felt that, there's your rock bottom. There's no reason to look any further, because as soon as your rock bottom, because like losing my job, getting divorced, using a needle, whatever that is, right? You will get there. Go in the prison, like it's going to happen to you if that's your rock bottom. So I look at that emotional state, and that's what connects us all. I can't teach somebody. I've never been to prison. Like I said, I go by peer models. I can't teach somebody how to rebuild their life after prison. Right. Yeah. Because I don't know the experience. I don't know the whys there. Right. But I can't teach somebody how to rebuild their life after despair and isolation, because I've been there. I walked through it. You walked through it. Right. And that's what connects us with the rock bottom. You know?
Yeah. That makes sense. Man.
Messages coming in. Sorry.
Yeah, no, we're actually we're at the time. So I know you're a busy guy, man. So I want to be mindful of your time. Thanks so much, Jacob, for coming on, man. And I definitely want to have you come back on too sometime in the future to give your brain.
Oh yeah,
I really want
you for that
to.
One,
yeah, that's fine, no problem. Yeah, I'll send me the bill.
Yeah,
we'll see if it gets lost in the mail. But yeah, no, I definitely want to have you back on to talk some more. About that, because I really like that. I love that.
Yeah,
I love when you do that, and I get to sit in on that. So
we'll have to put like Panos Anonymous logo on that, so I can steal it for our shit.
That's fine. Yeah, I don't care. That's fine. But Jacob, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. And as always, everybody, keep coming back. It works if you work it, and you're worth it. We'll see you guys next time.